My dad, Bill Fain, was a business and economic visionary and decided to build Prescott Valley, a place to live. Norman Fain, my grandfather, was an Arizona state senator and built Fain Park, a place to relax, a place to linger. My grandmother, Johnny Lee Fain, had the vision to create a chapel, a place to pray, a place to be. The chapel that we're in today sits above Fain Park in Prescott Valley. It's home to 8 historical stained glass windows, each depicting religious moments in Christ's life. This chapel, this park, and this town are filled with so much history. And what I love about history is that it connects us to our past and allows us to embrace the present. So while we're here, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my grandparents, who we always called Grandmas and Granddad. Now, Norman Fain, my grandfather, was born in 1907, and he spent the early years of his life on the ranch and going to school in Camp Verde. Dan and Mildred were his parents, and they separated in 1920. Granddad and his mom moved to Prescott at that time, where he enrolled in Prescott High School. He was one of the top students in academics, sports, drama, and student council. After graduating, Norman went on to Stanford University. He majored in political science. While he was at Stanford, he joined the boxing team and, believe it or not, became one of the most successful fighters on the West Coast. Now he had opportunities to join the U.S. Olympic boxing team, or he could go professional. But he decided to return to Prescott and join his father, Dan, on the Rafter 11 ranch. While Norman was at high school, he met Johnny Lee Parsons, our grandmother, whose family had moved to Prescott from Texas. They fell sweetly in love and instantly became high school sweethearts. When Norman went back to Stanford, Johnny went home to Texas to work for a bank and pursue her love for music. She was an amazing pianist and played every chance she got. During their years apart, they wrote frequently and fell more deeply in love. In October of 1928, the eve of the Great Depression, Johnny and Norman were married. And instead of a honeymoon, they had to rush back to Arizona just in time for fall roundup. Over the years, Johnny rode next to Norman as they worked the ranch together, living and raising a family in some really rugged conditions. Johnny, an excellent rider, was as good as any ranch hand and never missed a roundup until a horse threw her and left her with a back injury. Norman and Johnny had 3 beautiful children. Donna was the first and most feisty at just over 4 feet. Sue was the middle child and born so early she almost didn't make it. Number 3 was my dad, Bill, the entrepreneur, the visionary, and the guy who talked like Donald Duck with me every chance we got. Now, Johnny was one of the founding members of the Arizona Cowbells. She raised quite a bit of money for the local chapter and later became president at the state level. Johnny was also quite a writer. She wrote and narrated a weekly radio program about ranching pioneers, and a few of her articles were actually put in a book called Echoes of the Past. Grandmas loved to play the piano for us, and every chance she got, she really played beautiful music. She was an excellent ranch hand, wife, and mother. She could write and believed in following her true spiritual path. All of these pieces allowed her to embody the ingredients of a true pioneer woman, a life she lived so well. Now, as we hinted earlier, 1928 was the beginning of the Great Depression. Unfortunately, Arizona ranchers were not spared. Eventually, the banks owned most of the land, and the Fains lost all of their sheep and almost all of their ranches except for half of the Rafter 11, which was in Dewey, which my mom, my brother Ron, and I live today. In 1936, the Rafter 11 was still in jeopardy, and it was due to John Hamilton and the Valley Bank that the ranch was saved. Now, a lot of people don't know that much of the Fain ranch land in Lonesome Valley was actually leased to the Santa Fe Railroad. But by paying back the loan and building up the cattle herd again, our forefathers were able to embrace a truly difficult situation and go forward into the future with strength, determination, and vision.